When you're working on a PC system, there are a couple of safety considerations you need to keep in mind. Now, working on PCs is probably a lot safer than many other occupations you could go into, but even at that, there are still some things you need to be worried about. Number one is the power supply within the PC. Now, this is a sample power supply here from a PC system. The job of the power supply is to take 110 volt AC electrical current that comes in from a wall outlet into this socket right here and run it through the power supply and convert that 110 volt AC current into 5 volt, 12 volt, and 3.3 volt DC current, which is transmitted through these wires here into the motherboard, into the hard drive and floppy disk drive and CD-ROM drive, whatever else you have installed in the system. The problem with these power supplies is that they tend to wear out really fast. Some power supplies I've had, the lower end ones, last only about a year to 18 months. Higher end ones like this one will probably last a lot longer. But the simple fact of the matter is that they go out. When they do, a lot of folks are tempted to say, well, what if I take these screws out and open this thing up and see if I can find whatever it is that's burned out and replace it? Go down to my local electronics parts store and buy a new piece and solder it in there. Don't do it. Really, there's nothing you can replace in here unless you're an expert. And if you're an expert, you probably know that it's easier just to go down, and probably less expensive as well, and purchase a new power supply. Inside of here are components that can contain 110 volt AC current, which could kill you. By opening this up and sticking your hands down in there, you could expose yourself to this current. Now you'd be thinking, well, hey, I unplugged it. I flipped this little switch over here on the side to the off position. It should be safe, right? Well, it's not. There are many components in here that store electrical charges. So even though you've got it unplugged and you've got it powered off, and you think, though, I can just open this up and stick my hand down there, there are parts in there that could still shock you. You don't want that to happen. So, rule of thumb, treat the power supply as a modular unit. If it's gone bad, go buy a new one and replace it. They're really not that expensive when compared to the whole system. Another component you need to be concerned with regards to safety when you're working on PC systems are cathode ray tube monitors, also called CRT monitors. Now, there are two different types of monitors you can connect to a PC system. One is called the CRT, cathode ray tube, and the other is the liquid crystal display, LCD. The cathode ray tube monitors are the older style that are very big and get really hot. They look like they have the same technology as a television set. They're really deep. An LCD monitor are the thin monitors that are like those that we traditionally associate with notebook computers. The ones we need to be concerned with are the CRT monitors. A lot of times, CRT monitors go bad, and you might be tempted to take the little 4 screws that hold the case together and look inside and see if you can't see what's wrong. Maybe something's burned out. Well, don't do it, okay? The inside of a CRT monitor has a capacitor, and that capacitor holds an electrical charge of about 20 to 30,000 AC volts. Now remember, the current that comes out of your wall is only 110 AC volts, and that can give us quite a shock, almost deadly shock. Well, imagine that compared to 20 to 30,000 AC volts. We're talking about enough current to kill you. The problem is that folks think, well, the monitor's unplugged, there shouldn't be any danger, right? Well, it's the same issue as with the power supply. Even though you unplug the CRT monitor, that capacitor retains that charge. And the capacitor will retain that charge for up to years after being unplugged. Okay? So just because the monitor is unplugged and has been unplugged for some time doesn't mean that it's safe to work inside. If you touch something wrong inside that case, there's enough current in that capacitor to blast you and kill you. Okay? So rule of thumb, don't open up a power supply and don't open up a monitor.